Hello, good afternoon. How are you? My name is Carla Metzdorf. I am admin to the group Overcoming Anxiety for Stressed Out Moms Who've Had Enough, and I'm also a certified life and health coach who works with women to overcome, actually more moms, to overcome anxiety. I specifically work with moms to overcome anxiety. Today, I'm coming on. This is the first live training of the new year. So happy new year, everybody. And I'm coming on specifically to talk about the important steps that you need to take to overcome anxiety. Now, I know a lot of you are new to me, and you may not understand that there was a time in my life where I had debilitating anxiety. Anxiety controlled me. It kept me from living life. I was not functioning very well. I was on tons of medication. And I really had to work at overcoming it, and pretty much of it by myself. Because although I was on the medication, although I was seeing professionals, it wasn't helping me to overcome it per se. It was more just helping me to function. And I wanted to overcome. I didn't want to live the rest of my life feeling anxiety, because I grew up in an environment where I was told anxiety was normal. It's normal to be anxious. Everybody's anxious. So don't worry about it. But see, the thing was, I wasn't functioning very well. So it wasn't good enough for me to have this mediocre life where I was just functioning in life. I wanted to live my life. I wanted to enjoy my life and stop having this emotion of anxiety steal my peace, steal my joy. I didn't want that for myself anymore. And I certainly don't want that for you. So what I'm doing today is I am talking with you about really the steps that I took that really got me through it and over anxiety. Now, when I say over anxiety, I'm in no way saying that I am invincible. I never, ever feel anxiety. And it's just that anxiety doesn't control me. It doesn't take over my life. And to be honest with you, I don't feel it that much, if ever. And when I do, I know what it is. I know how to deal with it, and I don't allow it to scare me, or because I know what it is. I know how to handle it. So with that said, I want to tell you exactly what I did, what these steps were, so that you can take these steps as well. Okay? So as you come on, say hello, ladies. Happy New Year. It's so good to be back. I'm so happy to be speaking with all of you again. I just want to make sure I'm in the group, that I can see myself so that I can see your comments. So far I don't see any comments, but that doesn't mean you haven't commented. Okay, I do see myself. I see that there's a few of you on, but there are no comments yet as far as I can tell. Okay. So, without further ado, I want to start off by saying the steps that I took, all right? The first step in anything that I talk about with anxiety is always awareness. Awareness is always the first step. And why? Because you can't overcome what you're not aware of, what you don't know. And that goes for anything. That's not just anxiety. I mean, that goes for, let's say, we have breast cancer awareness, and we have awareness for all other mental illnesses. And, the more you know about your situation, what you're going through, the more you can take control, so to speak, and you can take those steps to overcome or to take better care of yourself, your well-being. So awareness, definitely always the first step. Learn everything you can about anxiety. And that is why I do these life trainings, ladies, because it is my mission to bring you this awareness, okay? Everything that I talk about is what I've experienced, how I overcame it, and it's also been like scientifically proven. Like, I didn't make anything up, okay? I mean, everything that I talk to you about has been researched. So please don't think that anything that I say is nonsense. You can find that easily, okay? I just want to bring this awareness to you so that you can take those steps and do something about your anxiety. So I learned everything I could about anxiety so I could overcome it. Now, as I was researching anxiety, the lesson that I learned, okay, is that we have mindsets, right? I've done plenty of life trainings about mindset, but basically your mindset are your beliefs and your thoughts and your attitude, your expectations and the assumptions you make. These are the things of like who you are and how you're being in life, okay? So the one thing that I understood, that I learned from taking the steps, is that the mindset that I had when I first started feeling anxiety changed. It wasn't the same mindset I had when I overcame anxiety. My beliefs changed, the way I thought changed, everything changed, my attitude changed, everything changed because I grew in awareness. I was understanding anxiety, what it was, and why I was experiencing it, and how to overcome it. So, awareness is key. And then the lesson that I got from learning my awareness is that I had to change that mindset. And one of the ways to change your mindset, okay, because it's so very important, because ladies, well, we'll talk more about this later, but mindset is very important, all right? And if you don't change your mindset, you're going to stay stuck. One of the ways to change your mindset is to learn how to love yourself, okay? Now, when I say love yourself, I mean to care for yourself in a way that you take care of your needs, all right? Your well-being is a priority. Not just for yourself, but for your family as well. I mean, it's true that if you love yourself, you're going to ensure that you are well taken care of and you're doing everything you can for your well-being. Because when we have anxiety, I know when I had anxiety, I always was like in this fog. And I always said I had mashed potatoes for brains. I couldn't think. I couldn't, I mean, I still feel like sometimes I can't think straight, but it has nothing to do with anxiety. I think it's more of the menopause mind, if anything, menopause brain. But when I had anxiety, I felt like I had mashed potatoes for brains. I mean, like, I couldn't think straight. Thoughts were just coming and going, and I couldn't make decisions for myself, you know? So when you take care of yourself, and you make changes, you can make better decisions for yourself, your well-being, and the well-being of your family. And that's really important. Of course, that's very important. So when you become your own best friend, okay, in other words, you empower yourself. You don't need anything outside of you to validate who you are. Okay, you don't need anything to support you. You can do that yourself. Like when you would go to a best friend and say, you know, I really need your advice and I really need your support. How would you support your best friend? Do that for yourself. Because when you start loving yourself, you give yourself grace to be a human being, you have more compassion for yourself, okay? And you start talking to yourself in a way that you never spoke to yourself before. Instead of beating yourself up and being negative with yourself, you start empowering yourself in a way you probably have never empowered yourself before. This is going to help you absolutely to overcome anxiety. It's going to help you change your mindset so that you have a different mindset to overcome anxiety. Let me update the group because I don't see any comments or anything. Ladies, when you come on, say hello. Tell me who's on with me. Say hi. I haven't been on in a couple weeks, and Happy New Year. And we're talking about the steps to overcome anxiety. So, hi Terry. Good to hear from you. Thank you for saying hello. So, awareness is number one. It's always the first step. Hi Kristen. Thank you for saying hello. It's the first step, okay? But under that umbrella of awareness, it's understanding. You have to change your mindset. And then to change your mindset, best thing you could do is to start loving yourself, respecting yourself, being your own best friend, so that you take better care of your well-being. The second step to overcome anxiety is acceptance. Now, this is a hard concept. It's something even hard to teach, but acceptance really, okay? And whenever I say this, I know some of you are going to roll your eyes or you're going to like wince and be like, what? But acceptance is really being okay with anxiety. Stop fighting it. When we are fighting, okay, anxiety, it only gets worse. So what do I mean by that? So when you feel those anxiety feelings, instead of being like, here they are again, oh my God, I hate these feelings, when are they going to go away? Why isn't this gone already? Why are they still here? Okay, instead of that, what if you felt the anxiety feelings and you had more acceptance? So what would that look like? Well, it would be, okay, I feel anxiety. You always acknowledge, I'm feeling anxiety, but that's okay. That's great. You know what? And not for anything, maybe don't call it anxiety, okay? I'm feeling the feelings. Give it a name. Call it whatever you want, because the last thing you want to do is identify with anxiety, okay? If you keep calling yourself the anxious mom or keep going around telling people how anxious you are, you're identifying with it. Instead of identifying, so having that acceptance, you never deny it. It's acknowledging. You want to acknowledge, okay? Yeah, I'm having those feelings again. That's okay. I know what they are. I'm safe. And hi, feelings, and just allow them to be. Let them be. And, because the more you tell yourself they're bad or they hurt or when are they going to go away, what you're doing is you're signaling the brain that something's wrong. And when the brain thinks that there's something wrong, it's going to signal the rest of the body. Like they're going to work together. That central nervous system is always working for you. More chemicals are going to be dumped into your body. You're going to feel more stress. You keep yourself in that hypervigilant state. You always feel like you're turned on, like you always have. Some people have said that it feels like something's crawling under their skin, or they feel like they want to jump out of their skin. Does that make sense, ladies? Have you ever felt that way? Because you feel all that adrenaline, right? And that cortisol. and you just feel like, I want to run, I want to get out of my skin, right? Or something's like crawling underneath your skin. So the more you fight, the more that this is going to happen. The more that you're going to feel the anxiety, okay? So acceptance, do not fight, accept. The lesson I learned with acceptance is that whatever I resist will persist. Hey Shanika, hi, Happy New Year. So, whatever you resist will persist. So the first step is awareness. The second step is acceptance. The third step is, once you're aware of what it is you're dealing with, and you have some kind of acceptance of it, you gotta take action, okay? It kind of all goes together, right? One falls into another. You gotta start taking certain actions to overcome anxiety. You're not gonna just sit back in the chair and be like, all right, now what? Because acceptance, is letting the feelings be, not reacting to them so much, okay? Letting them do what they're going to do. But you want to take some kind of action, like, the one thing you all know about, let's say, is breathing, right? How many times are you told just breathe, right? We all know that breathing helps, right? So breathing is something that you can do in your present moment. So basically, when I say take action, okay, think of it this way. What can you do in your present moment that could bring you a step closer to your goals, to your health goals, to your, what is it that you want? You might say, well, I want to overcome anxiety. So what action can you take in this present moment to do that? The one thing that I wanted to say, and that was remiss in saying, so you have awareness, right? And you have acceptance. But part of acceptance, okay, because once you're aware that you're doing something that's gonna, maybe trigger you, keep you stuck in anxiety, it's catching yourself so that you could take action. I wanted to make sure I say that. So you want to take some kind of action, and you want to be able to catch yourself, but you can't catch yourself if you don't have awareness. See, this all goes together. So when I started understanding, having awareness of what I was feeling, okay, and really supporting myself and talking to myself differently, not so negatively, but now empowering myself to do the work, I would take actions, right? And I remember I just wanted to feel peace inside. I felt unease inside my body for years, and I just wanted to feel peaceful, like free from this anxiety that I felt. And in order to do that, I would ask myself, what do I have to do? What is the one thing that I could do right now? Because ladies, besides me, I'm sure you're on YouTube. I'm sure you're listening to podcasts. There's a lot of information out there, okay? What you do with that information matters. And it could get very confusing. But the lesson I learned, number one, is that if I want to have a change in my life, okay, you have to make a change to see change. You're not going to just pray about it or sit down in a chair and be like, all right, I'm reading about anxiety. I know what it is, and I'm just going to let those anxiety feelings do what they're going to do. and think that anxiety is just going to leave you. You have to take other actions. You got to continue changing that mindset. So basically, what you're doing, okay, number one, practice patience. When we're anxious, we're very impatient, are we not? Because we want to feel better. Like yesterday, like I don't want to hear that I have to do all these exercises and I got all these things I got to do to overcome anxiety. It's too long. I want a quick fix. I understand that because I lived in pain for years with anxiety. The thing is, ladies, quick fixes are just that. They're quick fixes. You get very, very quick, short-lasting results. And that's it. Then the anxiety comes back. Everything that I teach you, everything you hear from me, gives you long-lasting results. Long-lasting results. If you do the steps, you do them in the right order, and you keep going, you will get long-lasting results. If you take that action. First, love yourself. Of course, practice patience. Give yourself the grace to learn what you're going to learn. And try to be, I know it's hard, calm, and build trust that what you're doing is going to give you that result if you do not give up. And I understand that that's hard to believe sometimes, but it's necessary. We got to stop telling ourselves how everything is so hard. Ladies, the more you tell yourself, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard, your brain is listening. You're reprogramming your brain with every single thing that you tell it. So, start talking to yourself in a way that you're reprogramming your brain to do exactly what you want it to do. Start practicing patience and set goals. What do you want? Now, like I said, I wanted peace. I wanted freedom. Do you want happiness? Do you want joy? Do you want to just be normal again? What is it that you want? You want to be able to drive a car again and leave your house again and be able to work again? You want to be able to sleep again? That's another thing I wanted because I felt I lost my ability to sleep. I didn't think I'd ever sleep well again. And I'm sleeping, so good now. Oh, thank you, God. So, set goals. Because the actions you take, okay, are going to be actions that are going to bring those goals about, okay? You want to achieve those goals. Like I said, the lesson I learned is that you have to change to see a change, because Albert Einstein was the one who said, like, and I don't even know if I'm quoting him exactly as it's said, but he's the one that said, if you do the same thing over and over, right, and you don't see change, you don't get a different result, it's like the definition of insanity. So, ladies, that's why it's very important. What are you doing? What are you doing to cope? Okay? We need to make change. If you're not doing something to make a change, and you keep doing the same stuff over and over and hope, well, someday it's going to work. And you've been doing it for a while and it's still not working. Then why isn't it working? Well, maybe I could answer that question for you. Keep listening. Okay. The third thing, okay, so take action. And we want to practice patience because when you take action, things aren't going to happen right away. Okay? You need to practice patience because anxiety, it takes a while to reprogram, to rewire. It's not going to happen tomorrow. I mean, for some, it's going to happen quicker than others. Because as you do things, you're going to start seeing change. But it depends on how you do it. And we're going to get to that, okay? So set those goals. What do you want? Practice patience as you do those. And, what the goal is really, we want to change our focus, all right? Our perspective. So in other words, like we think anxiety is the enemy. We talk very negatively about anxiety, about ourselves, right? What we want to do, okay, what's really going to help us is to change our reaction towards stress, towards anxiety, to a more conscious response. Does that make sense, ladies? Is all this making sense for you so far? I just lost the group. Hold on. I got to get back in. Okay. Is this all making sense? That's how I was wanting to be. Over, never wanted to hear it. Takes time. I have no patience, but scared at the same time. I get that, Shanika. Yeah, I mean, we become really impatient with anxiety. I mean, to feel those feelings. Thank you, ladies, for that, yes. But the feel anxiety feelings, I mean, they're not fun. They're not fun. But the more you fight, the more impatient you become, it's going to stay. Because you keep telling your body, your mind, your body, that something's wrong. You're not changing anything, which goes to Einstein's definition of insanity. I'm not saying you're insane. I'm just saying we can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and think we're going to get a different result. We have to make change. So first step is awareness. Second step is acceptance. Third step, take action. Now, my fourth step is kind of in the umbrella of taking action, but I put it as a fourth step because it's so, so important. When you take action, okay, you have to practice and be consistent. You have to implement with consistent effort in order to reprogram, to rewire. So the lesson I learned, okay, when I was doing this, okay, is that consistent effort gets results. Consistent effort. Without implementation, without that consistent effort, implementation is just you practicing whatever actions you're taking, you're consistently practicing them. So without that implementation, everything you're learning is just information. Okay? It's not just like listening to me or listening to a podcast or anybody else. It's going to go in one ear and out the other. You need to implement what you are learning. Whatever you practice is what you get good at. So if you're practicing negativity, guess what you're going to be good at doing? So if you're somebody who lies a lot, you're a good liar because you practice it, you know how to do it. But if you're somebody who doesn't lie a lot, and when you do lie, maybe people see right through you because you're not good at it. Like me, I am not a good liar at all, but that's beside the point. Whatever you practice is what you get good at. That's why you don't want to identify with anxiety. You don't want to be the master of it. I mean, I feel I'm an expert in anxiety, but I don't even have anxiety anymore. I have no issues with anxiety. I'm a master of anxiety because I just know a lot about it. And yes, I did experience it for many, many, many years, but I know how to overcome it, which makes me an expert in overcoming it. But whatever you practice is what you get good at. And I have practiced overcoming anxiety a lot. I know the way. And that's what I'm telling you about right now. So, practice is what gets results. Implementation is doing what you practice, getting good at it. Because if you don't practice, you don't stay consistent, the brain's not going to understand you're making change. Because the brain will always go to what's familiar. Does that make sense, ladies? Can you say yes or give me a 1 if that made perfect sense? Everybody understanding everything I'm saying? Because I'm actually almost at the end. Anybody got questions yet on anything? Everybody's good? Okay. Yes? Okay. Awesome. My 5th step, okay, is to basically, okay, so let me just go over the steps, okay? Because everything I'm saying in between is like, no, hi Amanda, you missed the beginning, but that's okay. That is what the replay is for, okay? So just stick with me. I'm almost done, and then you could catch the replay. Don't worry about it. But I'm about to sum up what I spoke about so far. So the steps, awareness, okay? And I explained that. Acceptance, to take action, and then to practice, implement that action that you're taking, okay? Last, do I dare say last step, is to not give up, okay? Or in other words, I want you to guard your thoughts, I want you to keep moving forward and guard your thoughts and be a conqueror. Okay, so what do I mean by that? In other words, as you're implementing all of this, you gain awareness of anxiety, okay? You have acceptance of anxiety, right? You're catching yourself in action, okay? As you have acceptance, you're catching yourself. I'm anxious. So now you're taking action to be different, okay? To have more of a response instead of reacting, right? And you want to reprogram, so you're practicing, you're implementing. So now you want to keep going, right? You don't want to give up, because what I said before is that the brain does not like change, right? Brain hates change. That's why you're anxious, because something happened, like you went through changes in life. I'm not talking just about hormones. Any little thing in your body, any little thing going on outside of you, your brain's like, what's going on? What's going on? What can I do? How can I help you? And so that's why we're always like, we become hypervigilant with everything. So the thing is, we have to get good at letting the brain know. Okay, this is why we need to build resilience, okay? We have to let the brain know that what we're going through, the things that we're doing, are good for us. Because even if it's a good change, the brain still sees it as a change. It doesn't know the difference between good or bad, okay? It's up to you to let the brain know that this is good. But it's only going to understand that if you keep doing it. We have patterns that we live by. You want to change a pattern, you have to keep going and not give up. You got to guard your thoughts, because thoughts, they come and they come fast. Okay? So when you're having intrusive thoughts, and you have to understand what to do with them. And when you do have them, guard your thoughts and be able to replace those thoughts immediately. In other words, like, I acknowledge them. Like, I don't want you to be like, oh, that thought, what am I going to do with this thought, and push it aside. We never want to ignore. We never want to pretend it's not there. Always acknowledge. Always acknowledge. And what you want to do is, as I said before, catch yourself having it, acknowledge it, and take some kind of action to make it different. The lesson that I learned, okay, from never giving up is that the brain likes to fight you. It doesn't like change, and it goes always to what's familiar. So when I learned that lesson, I understood that I have to keep going. I can't, the brain's fighting me, and I have to let that brain know that that what I'm doing is to help. So be a conqueror. So what do I mean by that? Okay, now I'm getting biblical here. Okay, I don't want to. I mean, I'm talking a lot of science here, but believe it or not, I got a lot of this formula, that the steps that I'm talking about, from the Bible. Okay, and I put science and the Bible together to come up with this. So if you're just coming on, ladies, watch the replay, because these are important steps. To become a conqueror, it just means that you are somebody who just doesn't give up, okay? Just because something's hard, you don't go, that's it, I'm done, this is too hard. You keep going. You keep trying. You keep going. You know, like your attitude, okay, which is part of your mindset, okay? Your attitude is, I've got this. Yeah, this hurt. Yeah, this sucks. Yeah, I don't like this, but you know what? I got this. I'll be fine. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do everything I can because I love myself and I'm well worth it. I'm taking care of my well-being. I love my family. And I'm going to do everything I can. And I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to let this beat me. You know, like, now, I'm not saying to fight it. No. Like I said before, I don't want you to fight. It's accepting it. It's acknowledging, accepting. And then taking action to be different. Okay? Does that make sense, ladies? I hope I'm not confusing anybody. Can you put a 2 if that makes sense, or if you need clarification? So you want to have this mindset of like a conqueror, all right? So when things got hard for me, because the brain was fighting me, because I all of a sudden, like, I was like having days where I felt pretty good. You know, I was like, oh wow, you know, like I'm going a couple hours here, not feeling anxiety, and I was getting all excited. Like, yay, I'm finally doing it. I'm finally feeling like some peace inside, right? But then guess what? Then all of a sudden I would feel some anxiety and I'd be like, oh. And then it would go weeks, and then it would go months of no anxiety. And then I would feel some anxiety. But the thing is to keep going, because if that's where it gets hard, because if you go months of no anxiety, you get into this thing of, maybe it's gone forever, I'll never feel it again. And you start going back to your old ways. And guess what happens, ladies? Stress comes, your trigger comes, something happens, and you go back to your old ways of being, your old ways of reacting, and then it comes back, but this time it comes back with vengeance. How many people, how many of you understand that? That you had no anxiety, and then all of a sudden it came back again, maybe weeks, months, even years later, and it was worse than ever. Who can relate to that? Can you put a 3? Tell me. You, Tracy? Yeah. Happened to me too. I'm sure it's happened to like all of you, because the thing is, that's why you can't give up. And that's why when you take these steps, they're forever. These are not steps you take until you start feeling good. And, oh, I'm starting to feel good. So that's it. I must be okay. No, we're trying to change a mindset for life. For life. This is not a short-term thing. We're trying to make long-term changes. So under this umbrella of being a conqueror, guarding my thoughts, never giving up, what I did was I learned to trust in a higher power, or what I called God. Okay? I always believed in God. But did I have this relationship with God that where I trusted him? No, not really. Now, just because you have anxiety, it's worth saying this. I lost you for a second, ladies. I don't know why. Sorry. I'm glad I got you back. Okay. Just because you have anxiety does not mean you have no faith. Okay? Because some people think that, or were told that by their pastor or their priest, or, I was told I have no faith because I have anxiety and I worry. And listen, Jesus was here. He knows what it's like to be a human being, okay? It's not that you don't believe in God. I believed in God throughout my whole experience with anxiety, all right? It's just that we're not trusting so much. I mean, because when we pray, okay? When we pray and say, God, please take this from us, and then we worry, okay? We worry about what we pray for. Is that having trust? What do you think? No, right? That's not trusting. If we're worried, then we're not trusting. Especially if we're very anxious about it. And first of all, no one's faith is perfect, right? I mean, my faith is not perfect. I have faith in God. I have more faith than ever, and I have more of a relationship than ever. And you better believe that I know I overcame anxiety because I believe in a higher power. I know I was not alone. I mean, I felt alone. But then as I studied all this, I knew I wasn't alone. I would pray and I would thank God that what I'm praying for, he's listening and he's going to make it happen. In the Bible, it tells us to pray that way. We have to believe we're going to get what we pray for. If you do not believe it, you may not see it. It may not come. So, start believing in what you pray for. Now, ladies, okay, that was it. I mean, that was the last step. Awareness, acceptance, you take action. When you take action, you got to keep practicing and implementing to get a result, and then you just never give up. You guard yourself. And it's a cycle. You keep going. Press repeat. Keep going. All right? Why do you get stuck? Why do you feel stuck after 20 years? You want to know why? Because you lack awareness. You're not accepting. Okay? You're fighting the anxiety. You're not taking proper actions. Or maybe you are taking the actions, but you're giving up. Or you're taking action, like, let's say, breathing, or, whatever else you're doing, journaling, or you're trying to live a better lifestyle, but you're not practicing it. You're not implementing. You do it, you're getting, impatient. You're not giving yourself grace. So, you do it once, twice, 3 times, and you're like, it's not working. You're growing impatient. And then you're giving up. Maybe you had a setback. As we were saying before, you got better. Anxiety came around again, so maybe you had some kind of setback. But maybe it wasn't a setback. I mean, we have to understand the mind-body connection. And anxiety, to overcome anxiety, okay, to measure progress is not because you don't have symptoms anymore, okay? A lot of you will say, when I don't have symptoms anymore, when I don't feel it, I know I'm better. That doesn't tell you that you made progress. You know what tells you that you made progress? When you change your attitude, your perspective, how you respond to it. That tells you you made progress. Because when you can feel anxiety and be like, okay, there you are again. All right, do what you got to do. I'm just going to go on with my life. You did it, okay? It's changing the way you respond. Anybody have any questions at all about anything that I said? This is the time for questions. And ladies, these steps that I gave, I also have a program, Rise Above Anxiety, where it's all videos and I go through all these steps. I give you everything and I take you through the steps. I help you with implementation. So if you're trying to implement these steps and you need support, contact me and maybe go through the program. And this program will really put a lot more into perspective for you and really help you, support you in actually doing these steps. I don't see any questions. Any questions, ladies? And if you just came on, I see a couple people just came on. I'm actually looking to get off now, but there is going to be a replay very shortly. So please catch that replay. There's no questions, ladies. Everybody understood everything that I said, and good. So rewatch this. Repetition is very important. Implement it. Implementation, very important. Keep going, keep doing, and if you need support, you know where to find me, okay? Message me anytime. Be well, take care, have a great, fantastic week, ladies. Bye.